supervise you. It's why the other way around, you supervise me. because you will be there earlier than I am. So you break the ice and then I go in and do my work. Okay. But I may be there with you for the whole 2 weeks or 4 weeks. So the idea, just briefly, then you can kind of explain very big detail, is that the first week will be designed by you sales. We will give you discretion on deciding how the first week should be run or managed. The topic area that we want all of you to cover will be entrepreneurship. It would be nice to be real estate entrepreneurship.
And also Larry's book.
On that, really? Is there enough time? Is there enough time to do that? But at least it's a 5 days.
Yeah, we can always read. Great. We can also read.
Okay, well, so you figure out, huh? So environmental something assessment. Like, I think we can decide whether we can to finish. So entrepreneurship, business plan writing, proposal writing, and game. So we just set the stage for me to go in the second week that I will do my online course on entrepreneurial land development approach, land assessment. So the idea is that even before I arrived at the universities, all the learners or participants should have taken the online course. So they will have seen all the video, answer all the multiple choice. So I'll go through the 5 weeks, and when I go there, I will use again to do the blended learning approach is to help them to further understand the materials presented in the online course on MOOC. On the top of that, we already asked the hosting school to find a actual project for us that is doable in 5 days. So given that I don't have to do a lot of lecture because they already seen the video and do the reading, and I just simply maybe use a day, an hour or two every day to discuss the material. The rest will be working on actual project. So the project will be the application of entrepreneurship, business plan writing, and environmental impact assessment. But I think it's up to all of you to decide how to handle all the subject matter in 1 week. Right? And of course, presumably, able to get some inspiration from my online course to apply some of the knowledge in the actual site. We'll think about a land or real estate related project, either environmental conservation, historical preservation, old urban regeneration, affordable housing if possible, or mix of all. But when you develop a site, these are the factors in China. These are the factors: the environmental conservation, housing affordability, preservation of the neighborhood are all key elements of socially responsible land development that we believe to be the case. Right? So we will talk about more about the details maybe the next week or I will come in to walk you through our plan. Okay. And let's see. So I will really.
Please go on.
Okay. So I will the second week, although I'm there, I was told that there will be about 60 students. So they will be divided into groups, and I would really like to have you help me to work with the group individually or collectively to help them with the project. So we 60, just 60, I mean, but just 60 is a lot of people. Right? If you divide them into six personal group, there will be 10 groups. It's already a lot. So we work together to go around the room and help them to So ask question, look for information, analyze the case, and then their products will be in the form of competition. They will compete each other's on some sort of reward. Right. So this is me. So you're going to see me again and again. I will be trying my best to come to this, not training, but sort of information exchange session. I can't change you. You should know something more than I do. I know nothing about.
Oh, how about inspiring session?
I know nothing about what's the name?
City planning.
Okay. I'm a little bit of that. How about you? What
Yeah, planning.
Oh, how about you?
I'm a civil engineer.
I know nothing about building a bridge. Right? You ask me how to build a bridge, and I would say, oh, I'm going home. Right? So, so with this background, it would be very helpful for us to help the group project.
Yeah, Rachel, your turn.
I'm Rachel. I'm a Master of City Planning student graduating this spring. I'm from Massachusetts originally. I'll be working in affordable housing development in the Boston area when I get back. What else? So I've been focused here on both urban design and real estate development, a lot of real estate coursework this year. My thesis is about innovation and entrepreneurship in Massachusetts, looking at incubators and co-working spaces.
My name's Scott. I'm a second-year student at MIT. I'm studying, getting a Master's of City Planning and also a Master of Science in Transportation, which is in Course 1, Civil and Engineering. I teach a course here this spring, Project Evaluation and Management in Course 1. It's for undergraduates. Teaching is something that I'm interested in. I worked previously as a high school teacher, and I have some experience with ESL, both paid and volunteer. So I'm sort of interested in how people learn and in pedagogy, and also in planning and in transportation. Although real estate is sort of a new field for me, but I did take Professor Wien's real estate economics class last semester, and I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed taking Larry's MOOC, 6-credit MOOC this spring as well. I've never been to China, but I'm very excited about the opportunity to travel there and to meet students and to work with all of you.
Great. Yep.
I'm Momo. I'm in a Master's of Engineering program here in Civil Engineering, so I study Structural Engineering. I'm graduating in June. Before starting my Master's degree, I worked for about 3 years in Toronto for a structural consulting firm, for an engineering consulting firm, basically. And I guess the construction and real estate industry is where I worked.
Where are you going after graduation?
I'm going to, I will be working in New York, just signed a contract. So
That's exciting.
yeah.
Is it construction company?
It's structural.
Structure.
Yeah.
When's your start date?
August. After we come
Right.
back. A week after.
One week.
Yeah.
Then you need to go there earlier to visit other parts of China. Right?
Yeah, that's it.
What's the plan?
That's fine. So, I was born in China, and then moved with my family to New Zealand first. Lived in Christchurch for about 4 years, and then we moved to Toronto when I was in middle school, and then growing up mostly in Toronto. Went to studied civil engineering. I'm excited to travel. I haven't really traveled around China.
Great. Great.
Hey everybody. Sorry for coming a little late. I was coming from China Lab actually on the other side of campus. It's all relevant, I promise.
How's your China trip?
It was great. So I got
Shanghai,
back
is it?
from Shanghai on Sunday night. First time in China, and it was phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to going back this summer. I'm a second-year MBA at Sloan. I've kind of lived in, I guess you could say, 3 worlds while at MIT. The entrepreneurial kind of innovation community, which is my main focus at Sloan. Public policy, which is kind of my undergraduate training and some of the work that I was in beforehand. And then corporate strategy, mostly focused on infrastructure and tech. And within infrastructure, I've kind of moved bit by bit from very kind of passive tech, telecom, hardware infrastructure towards housing over time. So I've been fortunate enough to kind of link up with some DUS students and also some DUS classes, especially over the last year, and looking forward to continuing learning about real estate in particular.
And Gray knows about MOOC, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The TA,
Yeah.
actually the online, how do you say, the online manager or the
Yeah, coordinator. So
coordinator, yes.
I think like because all of us are going to have to be retraining ourselves all the time, I also think education is really important. I've TA'd 5 classes during my degree at Sloan, and 2 of them have been MOOCs, actually focused on grad students though, so at the Sloan School. But so I'm familiar with the open courseware stuff. I don't know if anyone else has said. It's pretty intuitive, but
Yeah.
can be a little quirky sometimes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Heather, we are going around the table to introduce.
That's it. All right, hi everybody. My name's Heather. I'm the person who you've been getting all the emails from. A little bit about me. I'm not with the lab too much. I was here full time last year as a program assistant and actually attended the first round of the the MISTI fellowship with the lab. So a lot of why I'm here is to sort of help do program design and sort of work with you guys and talk to you guys about what worked, what didn't work, challenges and successes. So I'm here 10 hours a week. I'm here on Wednesdays usually. I'll see you guys at all of your trainings. And otherwise I'm getting my PhD at BU in sociology and studying intangible commodities and consumption. So.
Dr. Mooney.
One day, that's the goal.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Heather is the one in charge of the training and helping us to put this together because because Heather, I think she had a great time in China last time, and she will provide a lot of helpful insight while we continue our second round of workshop. And I maybe Jinghai, you give a brief introduction of why you are here.
Yeah, my name is Jin Tai, and I'm a second-year graduate student here. I'm in Master of City Planning and Master of Science in Transportation, much like Scott. And I am an STL fellow. This is my second year as an STL fellow, and this China fellowship is one of the projects that I have been working on. I helped with the project last year, so I know a little bit of how it works. And my past experience was in China, so I did my undergrad in architecture in Beijing. So I know a lot about China, obviously, and I travel a little bit for academic purposes around China and also around other parts of the globe.
Yeah. Jinghai is the one who helped us to prepare all the Chinese outreach material to the hosting school. We are pulling up a very impressive WeChat post, introduce our program to send it to our hosting school so they know what they were expecting, and Jinghai pulling an impressive bio of our teaching fellow and the lead faculty.
I'm
So-
good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, really?
you are. So I think Jinghai is the reason why Jinghai sitting he's not a teaching fellow, but he is going to keep up with what we are going on, so he can produce a better outreach communication material to the hosting school. And maybe Rebecca is not here. I think she is very entrepreneurial. She actually co-founded Roots Studio. She sent me this video because she cannot be here today. So she said, oh, why don't we ask people to watch the video? It's 2 minutes, so I'm going to watch it, play it a little bit so you know about her.
Out here, you'll notice a difference from wherever you came. Villagers make everything they own, and they only make what they need. There's thought and care in every detail. Families past, present, and future learn the same techniques. This is their soil. These are their roots. When I first came to India, I saw villagers leave their homes for markets days away, pulled by the promise of jobs in growing cities. Yet the story could have a different ending, a reimagination of what a prosperous village could look like. So we had an idea. We brought computers and scanners into these villages. We trained artists to turn paper into pixels so that a painting made once could pay over and over. We're building a market that's larger and more vibrant than any city could offer, in communities connected to growing what they eat and making what they own. When I see a work of ours on a wall, a world away, I think about how far this work has traveled and I smile. Every piece we sell is a window to a thoughtful, creative world, and that's a good view to share.
So, Rebecca cannot join us because she is in San Francisco as one of the finalists for a global social venture competition. But she will join us in the second training. And I hope by now, 6 of you will connect with each other through Facebook, Instagram, like get really know each other well, because we really need to support each other, back up with each other while you adventure into the wonderland of China. So that's all for the introduction and getting to know each other session. And I think from now on, you 6 will start to work on the curriculum, and by the 4th session, we are going to have a report meeting to finalize the agenda. So don't wait until the 3rd training session. That I think you can start to talk about each other and to start to think about a program. So we are running almost like a bit short of time. So what we are going to do next is I'm going to give you an overview about the STL Labs program and where the Misty China Summer Workshop sits on our program, so you understand the bigger picture. And after that, Heather will talk about all these expectations and the objectives and the training overview of the training. So let's get started. Welcome to STL Lab. As you have been attending our lab event, you may have known that the mission of STL Lab is to create a new generation of socially responsible real estate entrepreneurs and academics. We have a special focus on China. This is a diagram of STL program. So we are running a bunch of activities and issues. So in general, it can be classified into 3 categories: research, educational tools, and the China Outreach Program. That's where the China Summer Workshop sits at. So in 2000, let me give you an overview of the research. I think one of our aspiration is to become a think tank pioneer in the China urban development and building environment. In 2015 and 2016, we have RFP the 2 rounds of seed research fund. And this is my project was selected in the first year, 2015, and over half of the project is focused in China. So if you're familiar about the Western academics, about this China phenomenon, China urban development, you will hear about the 2 schools of China Hype and the China Fashion. So for the Hyper school, which I'm very proud to tell you about, is that China has grown GDP continuously at 9.5% for the past 30 years, and becomes the 2nd largest economy, and soon to be the biggest economy, replacing United States soon. And also China urbanized 370 million people without slum. China also raised 500 million people out of poor and poverty. The road, high-speed rail infrastructure, housing development is a massive phenomenon. So that's the China Hyper School. But if you read the New York Times constantly, you obviously will hear the criticism about the Fashion School. So, for example, China is the biggest CO2 emitter in real estate sector. The concrete China has consumed in the 3 years is bigger than what U.S. consumed in the 30 years. So that's that's the impact of the real estate sector on the environment. Also, China has severe pollution, the political reform, hukou system, land-based finance, social inequality, etc. The list can go on and on. So by joining forces with all the MIT researchers across the 5 schools, we hope that we can build new knowledge, and the most important of all is to work together with a solution to make impact in China. So talk about New York Times, just give you a little teaser about what China is like, as I know some of you has never been to China, and this is Chongqing, the city that we are going to venture to. So this is the Chongqing, our first stop, the fastest growing and the biggest city on earth, according to New York Times. It's a population of 29 million. So that's an old building under the high rise. Paul mentioned about so much unique character of the Chongqing, and also the urban villages, and all these interesting challenges that the city is facing. Again, this is Chongqing, visitor from the countryside. That's a construction worker. They work on a giant infrastructure project, and the Chongqing is not a coastal city, but it's one of the 4 first-tier direct city, which means they are not under the provincial administration, same as Shanghai, Beijing, and Tianjin. So it is the engine of China's inland economic development. This is a project again in Chongqing about the low-income housing project, although it didn't really look like a low income. And so the farmers get land lists, and there's a...
Okay, so I have to go teach, and
Yeah.
I will see you next week.
Yeah. Okay, see you.
See you.
Bye. Yeah, so this is the vast sum of money will be paid for the school, healthcare, retirement programs. And this is a place where the women work and also live. She is a rural migration, works at a factory in the outskirts of Chongqing. So, and all this interesting happening, and you will see it yourself while you are in China. So I hope it can also give you some intellectual challenge while doing your trip. Educational toolkits we are developing right now is the MOOC, case study, and real estate games. So next to our fundamental research, we also develop educational tool that we want to make the knowledge of the social responsibility and real estate entrepreneurship more accessible and exciting for the future generation of entrepreneurs, practitioners, students, policymakers, and scholars. So I think in our summer workshop, MOOCs and real estate game is the thing that we're going to use directly a lot in your curriculum. Case study, not so much about this year because it takes a long time to develop the multimedia platform, but we hope we will be ready next year. I think you probably have take all the courses on edX because I know at least 3 of you have been taking the course, and I'm not sure about the side. Have you ever taken course in edX? I would strongly suggest you to sign up for Larry's course. So this is the massive open online platform that is going to influence our project. Right now we have 4 MOOCs that is developed and being developed under production. We call this STRX series MOOC. So this, again, the mission is socially responsible real estate entrepreneurship, urban development, and planning. So the first 2 MOOC is the MOOC that we are going to teach in a blended learning in China. They are going to launch officially through the edX platform on the June 8th. The reason why we want to make it June 8th is that we want to require the participant to the workshop to take the course prior attending our workshop. And after that, I think you all take David Gardner or Bill Wheaton's course, and we are working with them to produce more real estate focused MOOC, real estate finance and investment. This is under production we want to launch in the fall semester. Actually, we want to build that course as an undergraduate course as an introduction to the real estate finance and investment. As David mentioned that he has this course at a Center for Real Estate, but he always got a lot of interest on undergraduate, but that's not, that's only a full graduate course. So he will be happy to can teach at MIT as well. And Si Qizhen, who you will meet later, she's the faculty director. She's going to work with Bill Wheaton on the urban economics and the real estate market. So when you were in China, I guess we would hope that you can also mention this STLX series so that encourage students and the people interested just to sign up for that. Multimedia case study. So this initiative involves a multimedia platform that focuses on innovating in the way people teach and learn about land market, social responsibility, and real estate entrepreneurship. I think Gray probably know better about the case method in teaching, right? Because business school use it a lot, but not so much in planning school traditionally because it costs a lot to build these cases. So with this donation, we are thinking to build some cases, and so that it can be project focused. And right now, there has been 5 cases under production. There's Malaysia, Forest City cases, which has been used in various MOOC, and there will be Beijing, Panama, Florida, etc. So livable cities, this is a game that you are going to dive deeper in the third training session, right, with Rick, our lead game developer. Rick and his team is going to come to play the game with you and talk to you about the pedagogical methodology about how to use the game to engage the learning and bring the playful experimentation into the learning, because play is often a more motivated way of learning that can happen every day. That's also used as a supplement to the traditional institutional learning, like the classroom, seminar, talk, etc. So besides, next to the fundamental research, our educational tools, we have a China outreach program because our primary focus is on China. So right now we have these 3 activities. One is this project that we are building right now, the summer workshop. And last year, we have been working with Tsinghua University in Beijing to host a China Social Responsible Real Estate Challenge. And then the winning team will come to MIT IAP for an entrepreneurship workshop. As Hong has mentioned earlier, that we hope that among the 60 students, we can have teams to compete with each other by the end of the workshop. The reason is that we think, we hope that the winning team will have a chance to participate in our real estate competition that we may co-host with Tsinghua University. So that's the date for our China workshop. It has confirmed and finalized. I think you can start to put it into your calendar. We are going to Chongqing University in the first week and the second week of July. It's in Sichuan province. This picture shows Chongqing.
Chongqing is not Sichuan province.
Yes. Okay, I made a political mistake.
It used to be.
It is geographically it is in Sichuan province, but administratively it is the Shanghai and Beijing, the first tier. I guess it's the first tier. Yeah.
No, it's not first tier either. First
Not
tier
very
is
first.
Beijing, Shanghai.
State city. Yeah, we call it
Yeah,
state city.
state
State
city,
city.
yes.
Yeah, but geographically it is within the Sichuan province.
State city, yeah.
State city. There's 4 state city, which is that they don't report to the provincial government, they report to the central government directly. Then
But they eat Sichuan hot peppers, so
Yeah.
so they're from Sichuan.
yeah. The second week of July, actually it's the third week of the July, we are going to
Sichuan.
Shiyan High School. So this is something new. I think it's like it's kind of like a side project that you are going to play with because it's more like a high school camp. We are not going to use a book because that's just, I think, too heavy for the high school kids. I think we may want to discuss how to use the game. I think game will be a very useful instrument to talk to the high school kids, to interest them, make them start to ask the question, and then they get interested into the project. And so Shiyang High School is, they have a new campus. They are the official sponsor of TED Youth in China. So a lot of very interesting thing going on there. Actually, the word 实验 in Chinese means experimental. So I assume the high school will be very experimental and they'll very welcome the Western ideas, and so they are very looking forward to your visit over there. And then the last and first week of August, we are going to Qingdao University of Science and Technology. The physical location is there, but we hope that so there's the capacity is 60 students. 30 of them will be from the school, maybe environmental school. Also, they have a real estate department. But we also want to see people from the region. So it may not necessarily be students from Qingdao University of Science and Technology, it may be from other surrounding cities. So I guess that's all for the overview of the STL lab and how our program has been related to this. I think we really expect a lot from this China Summer Workshop because we really, you help us a lot in terms of propagate the MOOCs, our educational tools, and the games. We collected a lot of useful feedback so after last year's program, we hope that we can collect enough programs and then come back to do a better, to improve other program as well. So, and we all see you as the ambassador of the program. That's all for the overview, and Heather is going to take over to talk about her part. If you don't mind, sorry.
Oh, no worries. Alright. Perfect. Alright, let me just add something before I forget talking about it.
It's Heather.
It's me.
And this is in Qingdao, right?
Yeah. Alright guys, so I'm just going to give you a quick overview of Hong kind of stole my thunder earlier. A lot of the stuff I was going to talk about. So forgive any repetitions. Hopefully if you had questions it will clarify. But yeah, I'll try and move through this at a reasonable pace so we can stay on schedule. So yeah, a little bit more about me again. Used to be a program assistant, went on this China trip last year, and I have my master's actually in education, which is one reason why I'm working on this program with you guys, and it's great to see that so many of you guys have education experience. So you guys, we can really work together in developing this program accordingly. So the first thing I wanted to do really quickly is show you guys where we were last year. So last year the team setup was a lot different, and you guys, the summer fellows actually had a lot more, I don't want to say freedom because you guys also have a lot of freedom, but they had like a lot of, we were kind of just like, yeah, do what you want to do, let's see what you come up with.
We don't really have a theme.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily like a coherent theme. We kind of wanted to see what would happen with a few sort of basic outlines, and we had some, again, some successes and some challenges. So basically we had two teams. Team 1 went to Mongolia, Shanghai, and Xiamen in Hong Kong. Team 2 went to Qingdao, Chongqing, and Hong Kong as well. So that was kind of the layout that we had with these two teams. And if you want, I just have two quick things I want to show you. The first is this, let's see if it comes up. Awesome. Last year, the initiative that we did, as you can see here, the STL MISTI China Summer Camp, was part of a broader MIT China initiative. And we're actually going to be doing this again this summer, right? So you guys are going to be part of this much bigger initiative across the School of Architecture and Planning, and across sort of the Institute in general, that is really sort of involved with China, right? So a lot of this is part of building networks, right? So I just sort of want to plant that seed for you guys now. This is network building not just for you, but also for the Institute and for the School of Architecture and Planning itself. If you guys want a closer look at this, I'm happy to send it to you along. And did everyone see the Fellows video? Lou wanted me to show it to you guys. You guys all saw it?
Someone that can watch it.
All right. No, it's okay. We'll give it a little look-see. Why not? Great.
As soon as I saw the poster that went up last December, I just knew that that was the way I wanted to spend my summer.
I had never been to China before. I honestly didn't really have a background in urban planning. My background's more in manufacturing. So when I heard that there was this program about socially responsible real estate development and entrepreneurship, it sparked my interest. My name is Ben Collins. I'm currently a senior in course 2 and 15, so that is mechanical engineering and business management. And I was a participant in the STL Lab summer workshop this past summer. I had a great experience.
So I had a wonderful experience. I had previously studied Chinese language in high school and taken some classes in college. And then pairing my background in China's language and culture with my newfound skills in real estate development and city planning just made this the ideal opportunity.
I find sort of the pace of life quite exhilarating, and the opportunities to interact with people from sort of a very broad cross-section of society to be something that, frankly, I don't even really have the chance to do in the United States.
I really enjoy organizing the camp in terms of like planning out what activities and lesson plans, and then like also interacting with students and my teammates, exploring the city. Each city is very different, and learning about the bigger picture of urban planning.
You learn a lot by just visiting the projects they have and the real estate development environment.
The key is also, it's about the people. In every city, there's different cultures, different students, and we still keep in contact, which I think is a great thing.
I'm starting what is likely to be a long-term project on zoning in China. And so the opportunity to really look into a couple of cities' zoning processes in some depth and to develop networks in those cities was really useful. So it's been very helpful in sort of giving me a foundation to do more research.
It was really terrific.
I thought it was a really good experience.
I really liked it, and I found it really rewarding and eye-opening.
Alright, so actually that showed members from both Team 1 and Team 2, and you guys are actually going to get to meet with Team 2 and sort of do a Q&A with them a little bit later on. So yeah, this is just some more overview about last year, which I'm going to go ahead and skip just for the sake of time. And I'm also going to talk about sort of why we're doing this program really quickly. So what we really sort of came up with last year is that we want to standardize our approach. As part of our educational tools are sort of being developed and refined, we want a curriculum and an implementation of that curriculum that is standard, cohesive, coherent, and sort of logically structured. And we want to provide you guys the support to organize that content structure, and also sort of giving you guys the freedom to do what you guys sort of want to do. You guys are experts in these areas. And we also want you guys to understand the logic, purpose, and objectives of this summer camp, which is something that we sort of just really want to point out. So as Hong sort of suggested before, the structure of the program, it is 2 weeks per university, right? So it's 2 weeks for Chongqing University, 2 weeks for Qingdao University of Science and Tech, and 1 week at the high school. The high school is going to be kind of a unique case because I know you've taught in high school, I've taught in high school, anyone else taught in high school? It's a different beast than teaching in colleges, right? So we're going to want to try and modify the content appropriately for that age group. As Jen said, the game is going to be a good tool in that instance, but we're also working.
Mumu taught.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was like, no. Yeah, I taught for a month in high school. Awesome.
Also with
Great.
Misty Israel, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right, perfect. So again,
All
valuable
entrepreneurship
stuff. Perfect. This works out very well. Yeah, so what I'm actually doing is I'm in communications right now with all 3 of these schools to get a list of sites that they're going to volunteer for us, and again, that's the case sites at the end, and also figure out, especially for the high school, what they want us to emphasize.
So once again, this is an interdisciplinary curriculum, and we are suggesting that you guys focus on land, entrepreneurship, and social responsibility. These are three very different but very interrelated projects, and you guys are a really strong set of applicants with strong backgrounds in each of these respective fields.
Yeah.
So, do you need to?
Yeah, I was thinking that Heather is already helped to get it started, but I think from very soon we would hope that you can make the direct contact with the hosting school, because Heather won't be there to assist you when you arrive upon all these logistics. So you may want to appoint a one-point person to contact with all the hosting school. So pick up all the connections that Heather has been made with them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so that's in the works, and we'll talk more about those key contacts soon. Let me think. Do you guys have any questions about this right now?
How many high school students do you expect for that week?
I think it's about the same number, right? 60 for high school, or do we
Yeah,
have less?
also
Yeah.
the same, yes.
Yeah, so it's for 60 per. And once again, Hong is going to be taking care of 1 week, and so you guys are going to be in more of a teaching assistant
But
position.
not the high school.
Not the high school,
He's not
yeah,
going
just
to
for the
high school.
universities. And then for the
That's
first week.
like week 2 or week 5. So it's the second week of both the university.
Yes,
components.
week 2, week 5, yes. Yes, thank you for that counting. That's really good. Slowly but surely, we'll get there. Yeah, so, and that doesn't mean you guys won't be sort of useful and part of the classroom experience in Hong's week, it's just gonna be different. The other thing I wanna say is that one of the most useful things for students, at least that they expressed excitement about from last year's program, was learning about MIT. So one thing I suggest incorporating in the first week is talking about what's it like to be a student at MIT, what's it like to apply to programs at MIT and sort of your experience, and just sort of, you know, just about your lives and what you guys do, because the students there are lovely and they really wanna get to know people. So, moving along, these are sort of the general objectives of this program. These are things that I'm hoping that we can touch on and address throughout these 4 sessions. The first is identifying individual skills and teaching roles, right? So Jen mentioned you're gonna need a key contact person, right? That's a role that we sort of want you guys to establish and identify. If one of you is really great at entrepreneurship, awesome. They should probably be in charge of developing that content area a little bit more. If someone's more comfortable speaking in front of a room of people, that should be their role as well. We want you guys to develop a curriculum that includes the educational tools that Jen mentioned, and also identifies a pathway for Chinese university students and high school students to other STL and MIT programs. So we want to delineate that pathway to MIT. It's okay. For them. The next is we want to develop deliverables and evaluations. So this is one thing that's actually going to be really tricky. Do you guys remember Hong talking about doing the competition as part of the final activity? Developing a rubric or an evaluation that can measure a really interdisciplinary program is hard, right? So that's something that I want you guys to sort of start thinking about now. And we'll go over rubric development in a later session, but just to start thinking about what that might look like for you. We also want to enhance your teaching skills, especially the ELL populations. We do have a session next week on ESL, or English as a Second Language, English language learner programming, and we'll talk more about that, but we want to make sure that that's solid. And we also want to understand context-specific application, and the material components of socially responsible real estate entrepreneurship. So what I mean there is this is a theoretical concept, but it also has material components too. So we want to identify the theoretical structure as well as the material parts of it as well. And we're also we want you guys to support the communication initiatives and network in China. So as I mentioned at the beginning, again, this is a networking, relationship building opportunity, and we're hoping that you guys can engage with that through our lab, and we'll talk about that extensively. So I see you have one of these already, but here's another. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, so this is just a copy of the agenda that I emailed out to you guys. Oh, thank you. Here you go, here you go. You're welcome. Do you want one for fun? Sure. Oh, why not? This is about Sean. Do you want one? Yeah, good sport. Awesome, thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna run through these really quickly. We're in session 1, obviously pretty straightforward. Session 2, that's going to be a big one on building a unit and lesson plan, as well as teaching English as a second language. We'll run over rubrics again as well. And Han is also going to sort of give a talk about what he expects from you guys in that second week of programming, just so you guys have an idea. That's going to be a very busy day. And if you guys have anything that you think should be included, please send them to me. I have a bunch of materials, but those of you who have taught before and want stuff included, please let me know, or just bring it to the day of. Also note that we skip a week. So we have Tuesday the 13th, and then we miss a week, so you guys don't have to worry about that. Try and use that time if you can to develop your curriculum and unit plan. Session 3 is going to be the Livable City game, as well as Q&A with Team 2, who I mentioned. And Session 4, this is going to be where we go over communication deliverables with our communications manager. And we're also going to ask you guys to present the unit plan that you guys have developed, just so that you guys can get some feedback. I'm sure you guys are going to do awesome. I'll provide models for this, so there's some sort of standard template for you to slap your ideas into. But we just want some sort of overview of what you guys are planning on doing. Also, that last session is to be decided. Is there a date that works for you guys now so we can get it on the calendar?
Maybe the first week of May?
First week of May?
Is the lunch works better for you?
I'm pretty open.
The first week of May? You guys have finals? If you guys are in master's, probably more thesis stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do lunch if we can.
In April? Sorry, I was pulling out my calendar.
First week of
First week of May.
Paste it.
Someone's gotta do it. Yeah, right. Every time. All right. So what might work for you guys?
Thursday?
Thursday the 4th? And a lunchtime is good? Like a noon to 2?
I have class from 1 to 2:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about Wednesday the 3rd?
Wednesday the 3rd, when I'm paying my student loans. Sounds great.
How about Tuesday? Because I have a course.
You have a course? How's Tuesday?
I have the same, I can check the specific calendar. I have the same,
How about Friday?
Oh, Ginger, you're killing me. We could also, just a suggestion, maybe a Thursday or Tuesday, 11 to 1. 11 to 1?
Thursday. Yeah.
11 to 1? Awesome. And then we'll just have lunch delivered around like 11:30 or something. Does that work for you guys? Perfect. I need to write that down.
So that's the 4th.
Yeah, May 4th. So
May
this is going to be final session 4. I'll send updated reminders with that. But let's say 11 o'clock a.m. and we'll go till 1. All right. And that is pretty much all I have to talk about. As I said, these are the training sessions that we have, and now this date has been decided. Thursday, May 5, 4. All right. All right, so do you guys have any, again, I know that was a little repetitive, I apologize. If there's any questions that you guys have, was anything confusing? Do I talk really fast? Yes.
That's good. Yeah.
I know we have to move.
Yeah.
So feel free, you guys all have my email. If you have any questions, be in touch. But otherwise, I will see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. And now next is Sean. Sean is going to talk about the exciting travel logistics. Visas. Sean, do you want to maybe I
You said that you move it to stop.
okay.
The wire goes, otherwise I'll move over.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
You've been participating in Misty in the Israel
Yeah.
teaching labs. That actually all ties into this too. That was a model that's 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, it's not. You need to, is it like an FT or something like that?
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's different depending on sort of like which program you're in, but we're in team of 4 doing 4 schools, 1 with each, so we did all different
Started up and
All
started.
right, let's go, excuse me, just quick little background. So I've always been in the Teaching Labs program. With China, Misty China, part of the China program has been for about, how many years now? This is 23 years we've been, it's over about 1,000 students to China. We work in all different areas, and I'm just going to talk more about the logistics of getting you over there, but just a little background. We have 24 country programs, and I'm working now, hopefully to start Vietnam program, to start Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, then China is taken off with about 80 students. So from Misty China's perspective, you're about 6 of 80 from that we'll be working with with the team internship programs. We have individuals go off to China in companies and research institutes, and we have different variety of team projects. We also have a lot of faculty funds. I run the Greater China Fund for Innovation, where professors here apply for funding to do really trial projects in China with other faculty and the students. Just for background, and we've been working in central China for about 15 years. In western China, out in Xining and Qinghai province, in Kunming and in Chengdu. We haven't had a project, but this one in Chongqing is one we've had now for the second year. All the way up, to Dalian, to Wuhan, to Fuzhou. In Taiwan, we're working on a lot, and also in Hong Kong. We've had one of our STL Misty projects in Hong Kong last year. And another part of the project with students within our China Fund for Innovation, but I'm not going to get into that. Just so that you have some background, you have other project areas you can go. We've started with the team projects. The first one, the individuals, again, if you want to work for an investment company or a startup company or a biotech company, usually you need some language background. Unless you're a graduate student and you want to have an adventure in a biotech company where you don't have the language background, that's a bit challenging. But for here, I'm just going to talk here. We've been sending with our SETI program, the team internship program, for about 20 years, and that's where our central and western China projects are. And also, it runs the gamut. We find that the 2-week projects work the best. And this is all of it we're working now. The STL Misty project is similar structure. So it's really from Open Courseware to MITx. We did it with iLabs, with D-Labs. We are doing it now with App Inventor, a big project now with Hong Kong Jockey Club in implementing App Inventor in primary schools across Hong Kong. And we just then working this last year with STL, socially responsible real estate entrepreneurship, that we've been working with that. And it's all been working quite well with the team projects. The only quick word of advice I could say, the shorter the better when it comes to standing up in front of the classroom. 20 minutes, you lose them. A lot of times it really works in the classroom. 3 minutes, this is it, this is what we're going to do, break out into groups and get everyone out and doing things. Otherwise, it's the language, but it's also a summer workshop, but so that you could introduce the idea and get them moving, get them up from the desk, getting into groups. That is more fun than sitting for 20 minutes, 30 minutes listening to anybody lecture. And that's what, whether it's high school, university, it's generally the same. So we get into now entrepreneurial projects with big new areas with the Hong Kong Innovation Node and manufacturing, prototyping, all these things. And these are other things that you can also participate in after this project. There's other things you can do. Now for the practical things, getting from now until, well, it's good that you start in July, but first things first, we'll have to, I'm going to email you the visa applications. You already have a visa, right?
I think I have a 10-year multiple entry visa.
Yeah, so you got that. So you're set, and you have a visa?
I need a visa.
Excuse me? You need a visa, okay. I need it anyway. The first thing, you're going to have to finish your online application forms. You'll have to, there's some documents that I'll follow up. I'll send you an email on this just to complete in order for me to pay you starting around the second week of May. But in the meantime, we'll need to get your visas and we'll get letter invitations, but we can get the letter invitation, that's the formal way. You want to get that anyway, that's your official acceptance. But that can only get you a 1-year visa. If you go, I think when you got yours with, use the plane ticket and a hotel reservation, right? And you got a 10-year multiple entry visa. I can get you 10-year multiple entry visas that way. We use the letter invitation, which I want to get anyway for your files and our files, but that's a 1-year visa. And if you plan to go back, if you get a 10-year, and who knows with the new order, if we start being tough on visas for China, then we might not get your 10-year visas when you can. So that's the first thing we'll do. I'm hoping that really within 2 weeks, so everyone has passports ready. So for starters, when we complete the Misty Bug, you can photocopy and just upload your passport pages. You need that. We'll need your names spelled in the passports in order to get the visas. So that's that. I'll send you again all this by email, and we'll try to start really within 2 weeks. But again, everyone's leaving MIT when about May 15th or later. When are you departing? So try to get everyone's. You have your visa. You don't need a visa. But before you leave MIT, it usually takes about 10 days to get the visa anyway. You'll be getting travel medical insurance, which is about $100,000 through the program once you complete your online applications, and again, I'll send instructions. And then we also have a Misty-wide meeting on April 24th, 6 to 8 p.m. on Monday, if you can attend that. It's about usually, maybe we have 400, but we'll send about close to 1,000 students overseas this year for all the country programs, but we'll go over some travel, health, and safety through the insurance. Everyone needs to do a 10-minute MIT medical travel health consultation visit. That's to just call MIT Medical and just say you want their travel health consultant. You can talk to them if you have any medical things you want to talk about, but any vaccines that you might need for trenching in an area where else you're going to travel. That's just 10 minutes, it's easy. I would make that appointment now because after April 24th, there's going to be 600 or 700 students calling to make that appointment. So do it before. And then we have some China meetings, and if you can make them, China-America cross-cultural communications is kind of a fun look at how to communicate with between America and China. And another meeting there, and then I have like a 10-minute meeting, just come to a pre-departure in May, make sure everything's correct in your folder, that your teams, everything's all set, your curriculum, and then you're paid, right? Then everyone's has through Atlas direct deposit set up. That's how we pay that way. And that's basically what the other parts we'll talk about later. I mean, there's a short report is expected in September. If you have photos and videos or you like that, if you can send that, everything you can share about, we can use then again to publicize the program and also to hopefully increase funds and build it up over time. So anyway, I look forward to working with everybody. It's always an adventure, and keep I think the whole thing is go with the flow and keep your sense of humor, and it all goes well.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, now we finally get to the last item of today, is that we are very honored to have the new faculty director of STL Lab, Siqi. Siqi is a professor of real estate entrepreneurship and urban economics. She's going to give us a talk about the China's real estate and urban development, built environment, and I think she can give a presentation and then we can do some discussion after that. In Chinese.
No, it's I don't know.
It's Chinese.
Okay, so thank you so much. And I think I will have a short talk, like 20 to 25 minutes, and then we can have some questions and discussions. So basically, I think one of the main themes of this China workshop is social and environmental responsibility. Thus, I choose this topic about the green cities in China. So that's a series of my research, but I just want to tell the basic story, not the models, all those very detailed things. So you know that very polluted in China, in many Chinese cities, you can see. So I think you can feel that when you are in Chongqing and Qingdao this summer, you will feel the pollution very clearly, especially the air pollution. And here is a haze day in Beijing. It's hard to see remote things. So I came from Beijing, so one benefit to be here is the blue sky here. So although I miss the Chinese food, not this, but the blue sky here is much better than in Beijing. So that's a trade-off. So today I'm going to talk about 3 topics. The first one is just a very brief, like mechanism, show you such an environmental coziness curve as a thinking tool about this environmental demand and supply. And then I will talk about the rising demand for green cities in Chinese cities. And then today you just listen to me, my research, and later in China you can test. You may have some questions, then you can test whether I'm saying is true or not. And the last line is about institution. How, if there's a demand for green cities, will the local government respond to such demand that can regulate the pollution? So that's a question. So first is the environmental coziness curve. It's very easy. It's an inverse U shape. So basically, this is a theory. So some researchers just started to working on that. They came out with this theory. So that's the horizontal axis is the environment, like per capita income or per capita GDP, just a measure of whether a country or a region is rich or poor. So the y-axis is the pollution level. So it can be all kind of pollutions. It's not just it's just thinking towards. It's a qualitative. So that means when a region or country at first was poor, so it always starts from manufacturing, because manufacturing always can create more jobs and also some economic growth at first. Then, because it's very poor, so you cannot consider, you only consider whether you can get enough income to buy food. So at first, they don't care that much about the environmental quality. That's why it's a rise of the pollution at the very early stage of the development for a country or for a region or for a city. But there will be a turning point here. That means later, when the households, urban residents become richer and richer, and especially more educated, so they have a higher education, so they understand what's the big damage of the pollution to their health and to the kids' health. So the demand for the blue sky, the environmental quality will just increase. So if there's an increase of the demand, then the government will respond. If those residents just vote to elect their mayors, their local leaders, so the mayors will regulate the polluted forms and drive them away and to keep better environmental quality, then you will see a decline of this pollution. So that's the basic idea behind this environmental coziness curve. So always people will discuss. So this is a very original paper on this. And so always they talk about the several effects going on. One is the scale effect. Scale effect means as a country or a city grows, always the size of the economy will increase. So the total size of the emission will increase always, because this is called scale. But another one that offset this scale is the quality effect. So if per product, per dollar GDP, if the emission decrease, then although there will be an increase of this scale of the economy, but for per dollar GDP, the emission will decrease, then the total emission also have a hope to decrease at some point. So that's an offset effect. This one will trigger an increase of the pollution. This one decrease. And why this counting effect will decrease the pollution can also be attributed to two effects. One is composition. That means maybe we'll switch to service industry from manufacturing to service. That means a change of the industrial composition. Then for the service industry, its emission will be very small. And technical effect, that means you have green technologies, then you produce $1 GDP, the emission will decrease. So these two just contribute a greener, counting effect that offsets the scale effect. So that's the underlying mechanics behind this inverse U shape. So that just means at this turning point, this counting effect just outweighs the scale effect. So that's the basic idea, but that's not a static relationship. It always will change. So that means you cannot just regard this inverse U as a very physical law, but it's dynamic. So sometimes it will switch to this side or that side. So for this one, it's better because a country can, at a lower level of income, it already passes turning point. So it's a better hope for future environmental progress, right? So you don't need to go to this point. You just to this point, then you can see a decline of pollution. But what will happen because, for example, some green technologies that invented here in the United States just transfer to China, then you have a technology spillover. Then China, although China, these technologies are not invented in China, but we can use in China. So that will have this spillover effect. China will benefit from those green technologies, then have a lower turning point. So this may be US in early years because currently, at that time, early time, US did not have the green technology, but now China is only here, polar, but the US technology come to China, then it can give a big hope for China. Or it's pollution heaven hypothesis. That means for some developed countries like US, Europe, they don't like the dirty forms anymore because they are more developed. So, but the dirty forms then come to China and India because those places still need those manufacturing forms. Then that means pollution heaven. That means if that happens, then you will have a shift to that side, then you will have higher income even than the US in the past to get this turning point. So that's the basic idea. So we always, the environmental economists always use this inverse U shape to tell their story and then use some data to test. So of course there are many things, not just the technology spillover, but many things that happen can shift to the left-hand side. For example, if in China, the central government put those green indicators in the promotion criteria of the local officials, because in China, not the urban residents, they don't vote to elect their mayors, right? That's the top level official, just appoint the mayors. So at first, only consider GDP growth rate. So which city have a higher GDP growth rate, the mayors will have a higher probability to get promoted. But if the central government think, okay, now I want to have a sustainability, so I put some green indicators into the evaluation, then the mayors will have the incentive to go green, right? So, and also some like information transparency. At first, maybe Chinese people even don't know the air pollution, the level of the PM 2.5 level. They have no idea, they have no information channel. But now every day, the Ministry of Environment just disclose. The central government just require the Ministry of Environment to disclose such information, and then if they disclose such information, then the urban residents will put pressure on the local government to do something to regulate pollution if it is too bad. So all those things going on, we will have better hope, but other things we will have later turning point. So many many scholars, they just test different forces behind those environmental coziness curve to this way or that way, and to test them. And different cities may behave differently. So perhaps in some very rich cities in the coastal area, like Qingdao, is one case. So maybe like the mayor of Qingdao care about the environment very much, so like this. But if you go to Chongqing, Chongqing is still in the middle of the manufacturing industry growth, so in Chongqing maybe this one. So you can observe when you are in China which city choose which strategy. Then I go to the second part, that's rising demand for green cities. My argument is that for the China's urbanites, now they have a demand for the blue sky to live in a better place with clean, safe water, all those things. But I have several papers to study this, so several papers in different journals. But I won't go deep into those papers because that's all data and models, but I just want to tell a basic story. So I do such study within city, that means, for example, in Beijing, or across different cities, for example, all the capital, provincial capital cities. So what can I do? So basically, we use real estate housing price data. So for example, this is Beijing, this is Tiananmen Square. And we have many housing transactions scattered around in different places in Beijing. And each transaction has a price. So you can consider all else equal. So if there is a spatial variation difference in the air quality in different places, always this place have better air quality. This is where Tsinghua University locates, because the wind directly from here to like this way. And also always this way, this place have a better air pollution. And also this way bad, because there's a steel company at that time here. So this with a bad pollution level. Here is cleaner. So all else equal, people always want to live in those places with cleaner air if they demand that, right? So we should observe that after we control for all other factors, you will see the housing price here should be higher than here. So that's the basic logic. So how we do that? We just use a regression. So it's a regression in the housing price as a bundle, a number of determinants. They have a lot of things. For example, the size of the housing unit, the floor, which floor this locates, because we all have high-rise condos in China, in Beijing. And also whether the mean bedroom face south or not, all those characters, and how many bedroom, how many bathroom, etc. And we have the distance to the city center, the distance to the closest school, the distance to the closest park, all those things control. Then we add one variable, which is air quality. Okay, we collect all this. Bus stops, subway stations here, primary and middle schools here, parks, that's a green amenity, and air quality. Different places have different, this is bad, good, relatively good, and the key universities. So people want to live in very close to the key universities, for example, here, because they can enjoy those campus, all those facilities, and also the human capital there. Then I do a regression that's basically control for all the things you see. Air quality index, that's PM10. So higher PM10, lower housing price, that's negative and significant. And that means after we control for all those things, people do want to pay more to live in those places with relatively cleaner air, and this is the number. And very interestingly, you see, people don't want to live in the places with high crime rate, right? And the people do want to live close to the high quality schools, and also those key universities. This is distance, right? So longer distance with lower price. That means if you're closer to those universities and schools, then you pay higher housing price. So that's my evidence. I find that people do have a demand for air quality. So that's one evidence within Beijing. And then I go to many cities, like 35 cities, that's another paper. So in that paper, my argument is that, so that's city level, not within city. That means housing price, the average housing price for different cities. So why you want to pay such a high housing price to live in Beijing or Qingdao, two cases. So live in Beijing, maybe because there are so many good jobs there. For example, all the headquarters of the top international companies there, you can find a very good job, then you can get a higher wage, right? If you go to a small town, you cannot find a matched job, especially for the college graduate. So we call it the higher wage rate. So you go to Beijing, you find a good, better job. Or Beijing is very polluted, right? But housing price is so high because the job opportunities are so good, right? And or higher cost of living. So that's the Qingdao case. To go to Qingdao, maybe you cannot find that good job as in Beijing, but Qingdao has the beach city, cleaner air, and very good ocean view, all those things. So still you find the housing price there relatively high compared to another city without such contact life counties. So that's the basic logic about that. So that we collect the housing rent or land rent. So basically, land rent. So and minus the wage difference, we know the land rent difference across different cities. We know the wage rate, but we don't know the urban contact life because it's non-market good, so we cannot observe the price for the clean air in the market. So that's why we need to back out using the differences across different cities about the land rent minus that of the wage. Then you get that. So we then do this. Basically, we find out. I have 2 years. One is 1998. At that time, it's not that significant. So at that time, you can think. At that time, people willing to pay for the clean air and the education amenities, all those. Not that significant. But later, in 2004, because it's a rise of the education and the income of those urban residents, then we find that people's willingness to pay for the clean air and the green space and the education resources, like how many teachers per 1,000 urban households, and those measures that increase. So that means for those cities have better, cleaner air or has better schools, you will observe the higher housing prices in those cities. So that's the basic idea behind this. So basically we use housing price to back out people's willingness to pay for those non-market goods in which the air quality, all those environmental quality, very key non-market goods. So that's our basic idea. So I will just skip this. So yes. So this similar thing about different papers because we try to identify this relationship more carefully. And then that's for the within city Beijing and the different cities, and then we come to the building level. Whether people want to have a higher demand for the green buildings, that's also one of the very key important environmental aspect. So we have such a paper. So this is Beijing, you see, and many transactions here, and always these relatively dark places are places with dirty air, relatively dirty air. And so in this paper, we want to ask a question. So all else equal, if there's two buildings here, one is a green building, the other is non-green building, and their location all the same, architecture all the same, structure all the same, but only one is green, the other one is not green, whether the buyers want to pay a premium for the green building, right? So that's a basic research question in my paper. Why? Because green building can save energy, right? So if you move to a green building, for your later utility bills may be lower, right? For the electricity or the heating, air conditioning may be lower for future many years. So you have a lower annual cost, then at the first beginning, you want to pay a higher price to buy a building if it's rational, right? And another reason is more comfortable to live in these buildings because they have high technology, it's more comfortable. So there are different reasons that the green buildings should have a higher price, that price premium. That might be so important because if there's no such a price premium, then the private developers won't have an incentive to build green buildings because green buildings cost more. So if the price premium is like 5% and the cost premium is 3%, then the developer wants to build. If the no price premium and there's a cost premium, then nobody wants to build. So that's the real situation in China now. Because green building is so popular concept, right? But when you go to China, you can observe many buildings in the public sector, that means the government built, invest and built, like museum, all those government big office buildings, all those government public sector buildings, always a larger share of that are green buildings, because they just use the tax money and to spend and build green buildings, then they will have a better reputation. I mean, the local officials, all those public sector people, they have a better reputation. And if some upper level leaders come to visit the city, they will say, okay, these are all green buildings, because they don't care about the cost. But for the private sector, it's a very small share of the residential private sector buildings are green buildings, because the developers don't have an incentive to build the green buildings because they don't know whether they can charge the price premium. So the price premium is so important to give the incentive to the developers. So we want to start this. But unfortunately, when I did my study several years ago, there's no green rating system like we did here. So we don't have such a green rating system. So that means the Chinese government on this just lag behind. So no rating system at all. Then how can we measure the greenness of different buildings? We go to Google. So that's our second best choice. We went to Google and we use Google to self-construct our green index. So because for the advertisement of those residential buildings developers build, so they always say something. If they think their buildings are green, they will say greenhouse, better home, all those and in the words in their advertisement. But of course in Chinese. Then we just create such a green index. So we put some keywords like green, energy saving, environmental friendly, plus the name of that building, that complex, and we got the result. That's a numerator. And the denominator is just put the project name in that. Then we just construct like this. So for all the entries on Google, 20% talk about something green related. So that's its index. Of course, you can understand that's just a self-advertisement. Maybe not green, but hey, the developer just want to see that it's green. Maybe just a selling point. So this is the index. And then we test. Okay, we test actually for our, if we put this green index into our model, you will see there is a price premium, right? There is a price premium for the pre-sale market. That means newly built housing units by the developers. So if the developer just argue that green building always all else equal, he can get a higher price in the pre-sale market. However, if we track those residential complexes later, they will go to the resale market, right? So the buyers move in, and later some buyers just sold their buildings to other people. That's resale. Disappear, even negative. So at first, the pre-sale, when the developer sold price premium, later in the resale market, price discount. And also in the rental market, also discount. Why? So that's a puzzle. So our explanation is that we have several explanations. One is because it's just a self-advertisement. Maybe it actually not green at all, but the developer just want to use that as a selling point then. Because there's very little information the buyers can get, we do not have lead. So there's no government information. So it's pre-sale market. So that means when the units they are sold, it's actually not completed at all. So the buyers cannot go there to test if they agree or not, just have to listen to the developer. So that means they are cheated sometimes. And also, but when they go to the resale market, already live in that. Some people already live that for several years. They know it's not energy saving at all, not green building at all, then become just cannot be cheated in the resale market. So that's my story. That's for the demand. Basically, we can see from the housing price within a city, across different cities, we can always see that people really want to pay higher price to live in a place or a city with better air quality. And they want to live in green buildings, but it seems that currently the institutional arrangement have some problem, so they lack the information to judge which building is real green building. But things are getting better now. When you are in China, you can try to ask some people. So currently the Ministry of Construction, Ministry of Rural, Urban Development and Housing, that ministry start our own like Green Star, I think it's called Green Label or something. It's a rating system, but still have some problem because the Chinese government, I think they need to design some tax and other incentive for developers to build green buildings. And finally, my final topic is about the sandwich story. I have a sandwich story. This is sandwich. So, and when I talk about this paper on conference, even before lunch, so I just want to talk quickly, and then people can go to have lunch. Just show them the sandwich. But basically, the story is we already know that Chinese households they have a demand for green blue sky, but because we don't vote for the local leaders. So even we have a strong demand, why those local leaders want to respond to such demand if we don't vote? So that's a problem. So, but we argue that even we don't vote, still there is a channel that can push the local officials to go green. Why? Because it's sandwich. The local officials in the middle is the meat, and the upper level is the central government, the lower is the public. So the central government want to go green. I will tell you some stories behind that. And if central government, President Xi Jinping want to go green, that's very easy because he can just put those green indicators into the performance evaluation model of those local officials. So maybe at first 100% GDP growth, now 80% GDP growth, 20% greenness, then they will have a very strong incentive. Okay, I need to do some things to clean the air, then I can get promoted. So that's very easy. And for the public, so currently before, we only have a very few newspapers, TV channels. So only the government control all the information channels. So if they don't want to release anything, they can do that. They could do that. But now, all the internet, all the WeChat, all those new media things. So it's very hard for them to hide any information. But we know that like Google and Twitter, all those things are blocked in China. But I think if Chinese government want to block some information, environmental thing is not their first priority. They want to block other things, for example, political things and some land dispute issues, corruption issues, some top official secrets, all those things they want to block. But they know that the public need to express their feelings if they are angry through some channels. So the environmental thing is relatively easy channel for them to use. So they give some channels to the Chinese people. If they are angry, they can express. But if they are angry about some top official corruption, it's hard for them to express. So they need some channel. So the Chinese government just gives some channel. The channel for the environmental issue is the easy thing for the government to do. So it's not that difficult to express their angry about the environment. So they can express. If they can, then all the internet will have all those information saying, and they can also protest on the street. Then there was big pressure for the local officials. If this causes some protest, some things, central government will also put pressure on the local. So that will push them to go green. That's my basic story. So in the old regime, that only GDP grows, and in the new regime, the central government want to move to the green. But for the central government, that's beyond our paper. But I find other people's papers about why the central government want to go green. That's our assumption actually. So 3 reasons. One is that the central government also need to respond to the people, right? They need to show, okay, the CCP, China Communist Party, also care about their people's quality of living. So that's evidence for the CCP to show to all the world that they can care about people's health, all those quality of life things. So that's one way to ease those people's anger if they are angry about 1,000 things, but this one can help to ease some of their unhappiness. And also show the legitimacy, this is the legitimacy of the CCP's power. And also because of the rising energy insecurity issue, also makes the central government put on the agenda of this energy saving. And also think the low carbon thing is also can create a market, not just for the legitimacy, not just for the energy security, but also it's a real opportunity in the business. Especially now, I think it's very important because Trump just step back, and China always go into that and try to make China make itself as a leader of this low carbon economy. This legitimacy hypothesis. Okay, and then I just show you some results. You don't need to read these numbers, but the basic story, that's a big work. I collect a database of all the cities' mayors and the CCP secretary, their CV, all the CVs. So I know each city, the mayor and the secretary, which year promoted to where, and the attributes of the mayor, the age, gender, education of each mayor and secretary. So I run this regression. In this year, in this city, whether the mayor is promoted or not, that's a dummy variable. And I connect that to GDP growth and air pollution decline, energy decline. So you will see GDP growth is still very important. But at the same time, some green indicators like the PM10 decline and energy intensity decline also play a role, start play a role. And especially, we went to Google again, and we construct a public concern index for each city. So we just Google that city and put green or pollution into the keywords and we search. And we can see some cities have a higher public concern intensity, some cities are lower. And for those cities with a higher intensity public concern, people always express their concern about environmental issues online. Actually, you will see the local government have more actions. So that's a lower layer of the sandwich. And actually, for these mayors that are higher educated mayors, that means the new generation, they put more effort on the move to the greenness. Then we really find that if the public concern is high, if the local government is the higher educated, then you will see a more hope for that city have a earlier turning point in that environmental coolness curve. That's better. So that's our final conclusion. Okay, and some discussion. We are not that, we don't think that China will just go to green with a very high speed with no, fluctuations. I don't think so. But we think that this optimistic view just will hint on several things. If there's a rising demand for the green, especially from the middle class, and information transparency, if the Chinese government start to block environmental information, so that's not good. And also because we still, I think in the next many years, we won't have this direct voting. But if the central government still puts those sustainability indicators into the promotion criteria. So our observation is that always when there's high economic growth, the central government will emphasize the green very much. But for now, it's economic decline, or stable, or decline, especially in some big cities. But they start to invest a lot in manufacturing, in those infrastructure. You will see the pollution becoming worse and worse. So there will be cycles. So, okay, so that's my basic talk. Thank you so much.
Let's have any questions? Let's have a 10 minutes discussion.
I'm wondering, what is your impression of, so think about the hedonic pricing in Beijing, what's your impression of people maybe leaving the city because they care so much about pollution that they don't want to stay? So maybe their preference isn't being reflected in the local housing market. So yeah, could that be a concern for local officials, that they're not losing people?
Yes, that's a very good question. Basically, we call this methodology as reviewed preference. That means use some market goods to review people's demand for non-market goods. There are two ways to do that. One is the price, as I said, and the other is quantity. The price or quantity, counted like migration, like population flow. So I always do such a price regressions, but I'm now doing some work on the migration, on the population flow. So I think your question can be better addressed if we have the migration thing. So for example, you can track those high-skilled workers and whether many of them now live in the heavily polluted cities, even there are jobs there. So yes, that's an important question. So basically, if you just interview some people, you can get that answer. But if you want to do such statistic testing, you need to have that flow. So actually, recently I got all the graduates from Tsinghua University. That's like China's MIT. The Tsinghua University, all the graduates, that's high-skilled workers. We know where they go, so which city. So very clearly, very interestingly, 10 years ago, like 80 or 90% of them, they choose to stay in Beijing. But now the situation changed. So many of them went to other cities. So of course, still a large share in Beijing, and then a large share in Shanghai and Guangzhou. But you will see some will go to some relatively small, but relatively have a higher quality of life cities. So that trend.
Probably the housing price scares them away.
I'm sorry?
The housing price scares them away from the first-tier cities. It's a crazy housing price.
Okay, that's a different issue about the housing price, because housing price contains a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So one part is the fundamentals, the other one may be some irrational expectation. So the quality of life thing, the green thing, is in the fundamental. So fundamental mainly the jobs and the quality of life, that's fundamental. But the other irrational, expectations will even by other things. For example, the liquidity and also some future expectation and supply constraint, all those things.
Yeah. Following up on that, I think first of all, this is a very impressive presentation. Thank you for the studies. And I think a lot of what we have addressed is sort of the perception of green or of sustainability instead of green itself, especially when we developed the Google search index. It's specifically how the idea of greenness is expressed to the consumers. And I think that's a very important factor because, for example, my parents, they might be willing to pay a lot for a property in Hainan or places like that, but I might be more concerned about like the housing market there probably is not as stable as that in Beijing, and might be willing to pay more premium in Beijing, and I think that's also kind of one of the factors that at play in the first study where we compared housing price in Haidian and Shijingshan, where I think there might be some self-selection issues because people in Haidian tend to be more highly educated. They might be more aware of the effects of pollution to their health, and this is kind of endogenous to the greenness of the place itself. On that, I think most of the studies, I believe, are cross-sectional. I think it might be interesting if we develop a longitudinal study, for example, for Haidian district, to see how the effects of this kind of perception of greenness or greenness itself has on the population over the years.
Yeah, that's also a very good suggestion and question. So basically, I have two points. So the first one is, as you said, that we call it residential sorting. So that means different people have different preferences. So if a group of people have a very high preference for example, middle school or the primary school because they have their children attending those schools, they will have a very high willingness to pay for those places close to those schools. They will occupy those places. And another group just care about the environmental quality and also a park. So for the elder people, and they will occupy the places around those parks. So we call it residential sorting. So that's true. So they will just sort across their preference that willingness to pay for different locations. And second one, yes, basically many of them are cross-sectional, but I skip something that we want to identify the causal. So we need some instruments variable for the pollution. We got some instruments variable, for example, the winter heating, and that will cause a very sharp increase of the pollution from the Qinling-Huaihe line from the south to the north. And also we have nearby surrounding emissions that will be carried by wind to the destination city. All those instruments will help us identify the causal relationship from pollution to housing price. Yeah.
Just, and again, thank you so much. It was very fascinating. 2 questions. The first is maybe a little more ambiguous, and then the second is maybe just simplistic. But the ambiguous question is, what do you think the ideal, so for the consumer, from the consumer perspective, what is the ideal situation? Is it having a green building? Is it having smaller cities? Is it having cities with less industry that are service driven? Is it much more efficient cities? What would what is the ideal manifestation of this movement in China currently, and what are the points of references? So that's kind of the ambiguous question. I know that might be tough. Simplistic question is, I thought, and I could be totally wrong about this, there was some restrictions on intercity purchases of property.
Home purchases.
Home purchases, yeah. And so how do factors like that fit into this story when you have non-mobile purchasing?
Okay, for the first one, if I want to say something, I want to frame it into jobs versus blue sky thing. So it means that will happen in Chinese cities because it's very heterogeneous in people's demand. So for some low-skilled people, they don't want to care about whether pollution or not. They don't wear masks because they still want to be in very polluted cities like Beijing because they can find some jobs there. So, but for some middle class or